Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about anxiety and stress. I know I may have touched a little bit upon what I do currently. As I have mentioned, I am a post-bacc student in the pre-med program at San Francisco State University. Previously, I was at San Francisco State University as an undergraduate as a psychology major. So going into this program, I applied for it because my dream has always been to become a physician. And for one reason or another, my path towards this goal wasn't a straight path, meaning I wasn't able to go from the first year of university to my fourth year or whatnot in a path where I in a timely manner got every single prereq done. So what I had to do was apply into one of these programs. I researched a little bit about maybe some that were near my area. I'm originally from San Francisco, so I wanted something local. I knew that it was an expensive program. I didn't want to go far away, maybe to a different city where I would have to either live there or commute an extreme amount, because I knew that, like I mentioned, it's a very expensive program, and the more you can save, the better. So I applied to the one in San Francisco State. Actually, it was the only one I applied to because I knew the campus, I was comfortable with the area, I love the area, so I applied, I got in, and I started last semester, the summer semester. Now, it had been 1 year before that I had been in school, in a school setting, so, but I felt pretty well. I mean, in undergrad I was taking about 18 units at one single time, if not more, and I was successful in all my school, in all my courses. The only difference that I noticed was that, comparing it now, is that in undergrad, it was more based on projects, teamwork, essays, and whatnot. You give me a topic and I can write you endless amount of information on it. And what I experience now in this post-bacc program is, after certain chapters have gone certain lectures that you have gone to, you will have a test, which is pretty standard. I mean, the field that I've chosen to go for is the medical field, which is a very strenuous in terms of material you have to go over, and exams, I guess, is the only way that they can gauge whether or not you're receptive to the information. So I took my first exam last semester, and I didn't do terrible, but I could have done way better. But it was the first test. I was like, okay, well, this is what I can expect for upcoming exams. So what did I do? I studied harder. I studied a little smarter, and tried not to. I'm that person in class that writes every single thing down that's on the PowerPoint. And when it comes to studying, I have like 30 bullet points, and maybe out of those 30, only 10 of them are useful. So I started, omitting a little bit of information that I had written down to try to focus on one single topic to make sure I mastered it. Went on to my second exam, and I felt confident. I took it confidently. I left. A couple weeks later, I received my results, and I did worse than the first time. And at this point, I felt very down and depressed. The reason being is, I took note from the first exam that I took. I knew what to expect. I studied better. And yet, the results were not what I was expecting. So, I did get a little down and discouraged because, I said, well, I know that I'm studying. I know that I'm working way less hours at work. And so what's missing? What is it that I'm not grasping? And so I went through a period of time, kind of quick, but at least a week or two, that I was extremely depressed, and I was going to class, and every time that I was writing down anything in lecture, I say, in the back of my head, I was like, what's the point? You don't do well in the exam anyways. And I started speaking with my friends, with my family, and I told them, I'm going through this obstacle, and I don't know what to do. I think that maybe I should switch from the pre-med program and maybe into the nursing program. Not that it's any easier, but I just thought, what, the career path to becoming a nurse for me would be shorter, maybe a year or two from now, as opposed to becoming a doctor. It's a 2-year program for pre-med, and then I would have to, you know, get into medical school and then do residency, and it's about 8 years from now. But, you know, everybody was supportive, but I had a couple friends on one side that told me, you know what, if that's your decision, you should go for it, trust your gut instinct, and do what makes you happy. And on the other side, I had friends who also supported me, but they were telling me, you know, you will regret it if you switch, because this is what you chose. If you wanted to be a nurse, you would have applied into the program initially and not take it as a second choice. And, you know, I was debating about this internally. I was going to sleep thinking about it, researching about switching into the nursing program and what would be the next step. And it was just occupying a lot of my time, and, you know, time that I could have put in to study better for my 3rd exam. But it was a rough 2 weeks. And from firsthand, I know my anxiety comes mainly from education, from going to school. In terms of life and work, I think I can, if at any point I do feel anxious, I can control those aspects, because, you know, if you don't like the place where you work, you can switch. I love the place where I work. And if there's situations in your family that you're going through and that are causing you anxiety and stress, then, you know, you could step back and, you know, move out if your problems inside your own household, or, you know, eliminate people from your life that really are not contributing. But that wasn't the case for me. My case was school related. So I knew that I had to be able to be resilient and jump back on the wagon so that I could pursue and continue my goal. So I did. I hired a tutor. I was taking 1 chemistry class and 1 calculus class, a couple classes on the side, one being the lab and a discussion course. But nonetheless, those were the 2 main classes I was taking. And calculus was really tripping me out, because although I've always been good with math, literally numbers disappeared. It was all letters and derivatives and whatnot, and literally I was struggling. So in my mind, I was balancing. I said, okay, chemistry and calculus. Well, calculus I need to study a lot more, because I completely do not understand the professor. I completely do not understand the material. And on the other hand, I said, well, chemistry is a little bit more easier. The information is presented to me well in class. The textbook is clear, and, you know, I understand this subject. At least that's what I thought. So I hired a tutor for my calculus class. I was meeting with that tutor about 2 or 3 times a week, and it got really expensive, but, you know, I did what I had to do in order for me to do well in the class. In that class, I did great every exam. If I started very well, and then every time I did even better in every exam. But here's chemistry, and I did a little bit not so great on the first one, and then worse, and then worse. And then at this point, I'm stressing about the fact that, what if I don't pass the class? What if I can't make it into the second step, which is organic chemistry, the book that you see here in the back? And it was very, very stressful. So on top of not doing well in the exam and not knowing what to expect and all this other crap, I have to debate whether or not I'm switching programs. So I kind of started the procedure to, you know, filling out a bunch of paperwork and emailing my coordinator and seeing if I could switch program. And at the back of my head, I got the papers, I filled it out, but a part of me did not want to switch. That's not what I went into the pre-med program for. So I started studying with my classmates, with my friends, and our group, our cohort, is an amazing group. Everybody in the group is more than willing to help you. If they have the answer to something, they'll share it with the entire class. There's no people who, you know, will be like, no, I got the answers, and you know, work yourself to get that answer. No, they'll share, and if anything, they'll teach you how to get to the answer that you're looking for. And that's what I love about my group, my friends, is that we're a tight group in which we can count on each other to notify each other if there is anything coming up, any material that we should be studying. People who are doing their own research and have found maybe a YouTube video very helpful in explaining material, they'll post it and share with the entire class. And that's why I love my friends. That's the other reason why I didn't switch my program, was because I love the people that I started my program with, and I didn't want to start from zero in the nursing program. And, you know, not that I wouldn't mind meeting other people, but I just love the people that I was already with. So I stuck with it. I'm currently in my second semester at SF State. I passed all my classes, thank God, last semester. But it's an uneasy feeling not knowing if you're going to pass a class and feeling stressed about, you know, where your life will be if you don't pass these courses. Will I be dropped from the program? Will I be able to take the next classes? Will I have to wait an entire year to take the same class to then move up to the next course that follows, you know, the current courses? And it was a very stressful time in my life. Last semester really brought things into perspective, and this semester I approached it differently. I organized my notebooks even better. I have an even closer group of friends who like to study just as much as I do, and we get together and study material and bounce each other's ideas back and forth to make sure that we get the information across that we might not be understanding by ourselves. And ways to deal with anxiety and stress for me is talking to people. I think that talking to people is an amazing thing. Sometimes you are not looking for somebody to tell you exactly what to do, but maybe a perspective. Maybe they can see from the outside something that you cannot, because you are involved in all of these things and your mind is occupied and you want somebody else's perspective. Now, the other thing for me that was very useful was writing down the pros and the cons of things that you could do better to improve your current state. Exercising for me was another good outlet. I've always loved to exercise. Sometimes I have a few problems because I have an injured knee, and sometimes, you know, if I'm going through a tough time and I can't exercise, that makes it even worse. And for me, exercising, going out adventuring, going to parks. I love the ocean. I love just laying down on the sand and just watching the waves and feeling the wind. That for me was very relaxing. You need to do things and step back. Sometimes you really need to stand up and go away from your books. You need to take a break, because if you try to force down information when you're mentally exhausted, when you're just tired and you're not understanding a subject and you're trying to go through a chapter, you might read it through, but chances are you won't understand it. So it's good to step back and take a time for yourself and come back to it with a fresh mind. So that's my tips that you can, you know, use and utilize for going into a program like this. You know, I think that everybody has a reason to be stressed, whether it be financially, because these programs are pretty expensive. I think that the entire program roughly will be about $38,000, and it just seems that, you know, it's crazy the amounts that they charge nowadays. But, you know, it is what it is, and it's an investment to my life and my career and things that I'm learning. I'm meeting new people, I'm making friends, so I don't regret it at all. And I'm very hopeful that this semester will be even better than the second. And the other thing that I want to stress is that do not trip about your current grades. Whether, yes, don't misinterpret it. It's good to stress about wanting to do very well and getting well, and getting great results in your exams, because ultimately that's what schools look at. But don't drive yourself down to the point where you are always negative and you feel down and you're like, what's the point? Because you don't want to get to a point where you're just not understanding what's the whole point of being in a classroom, or why even study if you're going to do bad in an exam. I think that you just need to know who you are, know that you're trying the best that you can, and it is what it is, right? You will give it your all. If the grades don't reflect that, then hey, at least you can say you tried, as opposed to not trying and getting bad results, because then you can say, well, I didn't try. I obviously didn't see the results. So you don't want to do that. You want to try as best as you can. Take a deep breath, relax, and know that you know there's worse things out there. You know, there's worse things that people are going through that they can't control, but you can control your education in terms of, you know, if this is a program you're not excelling at some point at, you can switch. You know, that there's no limits. Nobody's holding you prisoner and you have to finish this program because that's what you entered. You know, you tried, and if it doesn't work at some point, you can at least say that you tried. And that's how I'm approaching it now. More relaxed, going to class, doing my quizzes, doing my exams, and just breathe. That's the main key, is always breathing, relaxing, and making sure that you're not overstressing, because that's only going to take you into a spiral where you're doing terribly in class and you are going to hate it. You want to make sure that this experience for you is something that you look back on and laugh about and say, you know, how dumb I felt and how silly it was, and laugh about these times where you look back and you say, well, gosh, I thought I was going to fail, and look at me here. I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a physician assistant, whatever you choose to be. And that's the thing. That's my main, if there's anything that you can get from this video, is to never give up. But if something doesn't work out, there's a reason why this universe doesn't want you to go into a certain path. Try something different. Maybe your passion is in something else. Find something that you love and you will excel at it. So that is the video for today. I know it's a little lengthy. Maybe I rambled a lot about school, but I'm hoping that this video can give somebody an insight about what to expect about a program like this, or just undergrad in general, anything like this. You will go through times, because now for me, I'm just looking at this last semester, but I remember, if I really think, during undergrad, I always had stressful moments where I had to write, you know, a 12-page paper. I was good at writing it, but then when I got, you know, feedback in a peer review, and it was like, oh, change this, oh, this makes no sense, the indenting, that you had to pick your page number, and there were so many things, then you had to put it in MLA format or whatever the other formats are. That was stressful. And, you know, come now, I have my degree, and, you know, you will have your ups and downs, but don't give up. So see you guys next time. I hope this video helped you, and if you have any comments, suggestions, please leave them down below or send me a DM on Instagram. Take care. Bye-bye.